Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Economic Truth Report number 16. And today we're going to talk about a lot of the turmoil that is happening right now with the whole Russia kerfuffle and Europe and all that, and including, of course, what certain uh, people in the governments around the world are talking about. Plus, of course, we're going to cover very deeply the current economic issues around, and we're going to go through the macroeconomic data since last time we took a look at it. So yes, stay tuned in the video, and we're going to go through a whole bunch of articles as well. So yeah, let's get right into it, guys. And let me just share my screen here. Just 1 second. We're gonna share the screen on which one? This one. Okay, just yeah, sorry, just take a little while there. I can share it, and here we go. All right, so first of all, as we always do, we're gonna get into the macroeconomic data. Now, before we go into inflation and so on, we're gonna go for the current markets as quickly as possible. And take a look at what's going on. Now, there's been some serious movements, of course, as of today, and it's actually happened. You know, the Federal Reserve decided to raise their interest rate by 0.75% to now 3.25%. And actually, right now, as we see here, the rate decision of Bank of Japan is still minus 0.1. And the reason is the yen is getting demolished to the US dollar year over year. And on a monthly basis, it's so yeah, month to month basis, it's down 5.6% right now. As we can see, if you take a look here, there's a few currencies, of course, that have gone up to the US dollar and strengthened. It's the pound monthly. It's gone up 5.02%. We got the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar strengthened, and of course, the euro strengthened a little bit. But it actually is at a pretty much a record low to the United States dollar since its inception, almost, I believe. So yeah, that's pretty serious. Then Canadian dollars lost further. It's at 1.35 right now. It was at 1.32. So the US dollar keeps on strengthening pretty heavily, and of course the DXY has gone up, as we can see here. It's at right now at a let's go in here and take a quick peek. It's at record for the year, for the last 5 years, for the last 10 years, but we are not at the 118 peak that it had after the dot-com bubble. So we'll see. Is it going to make it there? It could. It could be a huge epic bubble, of course. And I do believe that this could happen because there's a lot of inflation all around the world and a lot of trouble in the global economy. So let's go back to currencies here and take a further look. The Korean won is furthering losing, as you could see here. Some heavy losers, of course. The Turkish lira is getting demolished again. It's after the reset that he did. I think it was at 17, dropped down quite drastically. Now it's back up and past that old record high in losses again, and it's lost 100.44% to the US dollar. You can see the Pakistani rupee is in danger territory year over year, and also it lost 10% over the last month. A lot of that could also have to do with the floods that's going on there right now. Norway's losing, and that has also to do with oil is down from its peak of 100 and something, 108, I believe, or 10. Now it's down at more. I think the Brent oil is at 90 something, 90 or 89 right now. But we're gonna see that in a bit here. The Swedish krona is losing. It's actually one of the biggest losers in Europe, by the way. Very interesting. Well, actually, no. We'll look further into that further down there. You got the Danish krona is losing a little bit. It's lost 20% almost year over year. The shekel in Israel is losing pretty heavily in a month, as well as everybody's panicking into the US dollar as markets are failing, bonds are not beating inflation. So there's where are you gonna hide? You go and hide in cash for now, and then until you just panic, and then you got to get out of cash because inflation is so high that you go find another asset, and then that's when I believe things are gonna get interesting for those that are positioned themselves in inflation hedging assets, commodities, gold and silver, and so on. But we'll get back to that in a little bit. As I said, the pound is getting. Oh, excuse me. Bulgaria. Other than this, it's just mildly. A lot of actually the Eastern European countries haven't lost as much as the Western European countries, which is very interesting. Then, of course, let's see where the ruble is right now. Where's the ruble? Right here. So the ruble has lost a little bit right now, but it's still 60. Year over year, it's gained. Actually, the only one that beats it right now is the British pound that have been beating it year over year. We got Canadian dollar we just talked about. The Argentinian, what is that now? Oh, peso. Sorry, it doesn't have like ours. Interesting. But yeah, they lost year over year to 50%. So they're in a lot of trouble in Argentina, I guess. So lots of trouble there. You got the Colombian peso, the Chilean, is it peso? I forgot what they have there. And then you got yeah, Peru. I forgot the currency there. You got a few gainers, not as much moves in South America as it is in Europe, of course. You got the Haitian Tanka. Is it Tanka or something? Gulden? I forgot what they have there. But that was actually gained a little bit. Still lost 20% though. The Suriname dinar has lost. And as you can see here, it's lost 12%, pretty heavily actually. So here, I have covered the Suriname. Let's see now, what is the Suriname currency again? Oh, dollar. I'm sorry, guys. The Suriname dollar has just, yeah, as you can see, it's continues to lose value. Me and Josh actually covered it when it lost substantial. It went from 3 up to 5. And then as you can see, there's been several revaluations up to further hits in the economy. And so Suriname is in Paramaribo or something like that. It's the capital of Suriname, which is Dutch-speaking enclave in northern South America. Again, Venezuelan Bolivar, Soberano. It used to be the Fuerte until 2017 when they changed it to Soberanos. Now, that one is interesting. Like, it's lost 29.7%, but also what's interesting is that there is a few interesting things that are, well, the most interesting thing that have happened in Venezuela is that they actually have now issued a Soberano that went from, being 1 million, I believe yeah, I'm just looking behind me, I have it here, 1 million bolivars, and they issued a 5, a 10, a 20, a 50, and a 100 note in Soberano, but it's not 5, 10, 20, 50, and 100. It's actually a million, but they removed zeros. I believe this is the first time in history, actually, we see this. So a very unique moment in history, actually. Let's look at Asia quickly here. Of course, the yen is getting whacked hard. Even the Chinese yuan is losing 3.57%, 10% year over year. Korean won is getting hit hard as well. The Taiwanese dollar is losing value as well. Almost 5%. this month to the US dollar. So almost everybody's losing to the dollar except for very few currencies. Shekel we talked about, the Pakistani rupee we talked about, baht. Is it baht? No. What is it in Bangladeshi? So the Bangladeshi currency is Otaka. Interesting. I actually didn't know that. That I didn't know. So Bangladeshi takans have lost 8.73% this month, pretty heavily. You got the, of course, Sri Lankan rupee has lost 77.60%, stayed like stable. Now, exchange rates in Suriname is very sketchy to begin with. You know, with a lot of these, even Venezuela and Argentina and all these, the actual real black market, if you went and get US dollars on the black market, I'm pretty sure it would be severely drastically higher than the percentages you see here in exchange rates right here to US dollar. Yeah, this is Brunei dinar maybe. I'm not sure. Lost a little bit. And you got the Mongolian tenge, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I do not know what the Laos currency is, but it's lost 63%, so pretty heavily actually. Let's go and look here quickly, just for shits and giggles. Keep is their currency. As you can see, it can't keep its value. It's losing its value quite drastically from 7,600 and 7,262.5 till yeah, 16,000 something. So it's lost, 100% of value to the US dollar. Very interesting there. The currencies are, I believe now, are the currencies outside of the US dollar, periphery currency, and especially the weakest ones that probably might also have a lot of US dollar denominated debt are collapsing because they got to print in order to try to afford to pay their US dollar denominated debts. It'd be interesting to find the exact chart that shows how much US dollar debt is due in these different currencies. So if anybody knows of that, please share with me. Okay, so we're gonna, as I said, the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar has kept its value and gained both year over year and monthly. And then you have the Fiji dollar has lost a little bit, 3%, about 3%, and the what is this now? Is this DAW? Oh my goodness. Yes, please remind me what that is. I know what it is. It's where Bora Bora is, I believe. That currency's lost 18%, but haven't really moved the last month and so on. But it has actually moved today. It's up 1% right now in trading. Take a quick look at African currencies. Nigerian. What is the Nigerian currency again? Naira. Naira has stayed pretty stable with the US dollar. Very interesting, actually, guys. And then we got the South African rand has gained. The is this Mozambique? No, this is Zambian Kwanzaa. The Kwanzaa Zambia has actually gained to the US dollar. Very interesting. So just a few. I believe that there are, because they're resource currencies, a lot of these, because Africa is of course a very heavily resource dependent continent, and they got lots of it. And now that we print a whole bunch, they're gonna benefit from that. The Egyptian pound has not moved much, but it's lost 24% year over year. The US, what is this one? Oh, Moroccan dirham has lost as well. The Angolan, what is the Angolan Kwanzaa? Yeah, I should have known, but it's in Zambia too has Kwanzaa. But the Angolan Kwanzaa is actually have gained 31% very heavily because they're a huge oil country in Angola. Yeah, Moroccan dirham has lost to the US dollar a little bit monthly. The what is this now? Sudanese? Yeah, pound. So that's the Sudanese. So there's two nations now. There's South Sudan and Sudan. The Sudanese one has lost 28.69%. The Kenyan shilling has not made too much of a move. Stayed stable, but it's lost 9.07%. The Nigerian, or what is this? Is it Niger? I believe. Oh, Ethiopian birr. I have a hard time with some of these African currencies, unfortunately. Yeah, continuing down here, Tunisian dollar. Yeah, not much moves here. Stayed pretty stable, but some of them lost. For example, the one that we were just at, sorry, the Ghanaian Zedi lost 66%, so that's pretty severe for their economy. The Ugandan, what is the Ugandan currency here? Oh, it's a shilling there as well. Their shilling has actually gained a little bit so far, but lost 8% year over year. You got the Botswana pound, maybe I think it is. Lost 2.89. Namibian dollar probably is 4.82 down. And then the South Sudanian currency have gained a little bit this month, but drastically lost over the year over year with semi-hyperinflation over there. Mauritania has gained a little bit, actually, interestingly enough. Same with Ghana. What is this? Guinean francs have gained. You got Sierra Leone in, they have, Leone. Aha. We're learning a lot today. Even me are learning a little bit. 42% year over year is lost 7% a month. Then you got Swaziland, or Eswatini as they call it now. Lost 4.77. Same with the Lesotho and Lodi. That's lost about the same. These seem to be linked to each other. I think there is African Union linkage in some of these currencies. Some guys might know more about this than me. I just have a hunch. You've got the what is this one now? Gambian Dalisi has lost a little bit this month, but not lost as much over time. You got, what is this now? Oh, Djibouti. Is this Djibouti? Oh, Comorian franc has not, but it's lost. Like these two currencies have lost about 20% each year over year. And then, of course, you got the new experiment in Zimbabwe with a new currency called the Zimbabwean dollar. Who would think that they would name it the same thing? But it's called the RTGS dollar. Of course, they changed it. Interesting, but 605%. There looks like they're in for another hyperinflation, as you know, of course, Venezuela did, but at a even faster pace than Zimbabwe. So that was currencies. We're gonna try to make these next ones a little bit faster, I think. So let's go to stock. Okay, stock markets showing us. So this is year over year, of course, and it's more than this. I believe it's almost 30% now. The Nasdaq is down from its peak, but as you can see, they're all losing value here. 13 for Dow, S&P 15.37 year over year, and as you can see, they actually lost a lot of that already this month. And it's kind of a bear trap. It was in the market where had a little bit of a rally, fake bear. I think that's called bear trap, and then it just collapsed down again. As you can see here, there's no greatness in the markets in Europe as well. The Russian stock market is collapsing. It's almost down 50% because nobody's allowed to trade there. A lot of the world is not allowed to trade there, especially the high financialized markets, which have most of their money. And so, of course, it drops the stock market. Then we got the Polish exchange, it's down 30%. You got the Irish exchange, 23.53 year over year, of course. So these are now at NASDAQ levels. And then these are below. Bulgaria, Austria, Helsinki, Luxembourg, Stockholm, Germany, the docks in Germany, Helsinki. Oh, this is just a Helsinki 25, so there's two different ones. The Euro exchanges are down, Netherlands, Riga. So all these are down, as you can see, most of these in Europe. Let's go and look at if there's any winners. The Monex is, I believe, Montenegro. Is that correct? Yeah. Montenegro exchange is actually up a bit. Oops. Went away from, yeah, let's do this. And then you got these are allies actually of Russia, by the way, some of these. You got the Serbian exchange have gained 5.65, Bosnian exchange, Bulgarian exchange, the Portuguese exchange is up, the Oslo Bourse is up, the Oslo Stock Exchange. And then what is this? Is this Cyprus? Yeah, the Cyprus exchange is up 16.39%. And then, of course, this is like, as we saw, it's not much versus the loss of the currency. So it's pretty much, that's all of it that is gained in Turkey, on Turkey Stock Exchange. In South Africa, in South America, you got the Merval in Argentina, you got the IBC in Venezuela. Gained a lot, but over near there. Well, actually, the Merval has followed up with inflation there in Argentina, quite close. Not in Venezuela. They're really struggling there. The stock markets are not gaining enough to fight inflation, being inflation hedged there. Chilean exchange is up 33.74%. Peru 8.62. Actually, in Chile, I believe they just turned down a leftist government takeover, rewriting of their constitution just recently. Of course, the left came out and rioted when that happened. You had Ecuador just gained, and then you got losers, the Brazilian exchange, but barely lost actually year over year, so very interesting. Canada is down only 55.97 because of commodities. You got this is what, oh my goodness, Cayman. No, it's not Cayman. Bermuda, of course, stock exchange is doing quite well, has lost. You got Mexican stock exchange, Colombian, Jamaican is also down. Over in Asia, you got the Hanoi exchange in Vietnam. It's down. Actually, these are down more than NASDAQ. And then Hong Kong's stock exchange is down more. You got the Chinese exchanges are down quite drastically still year over year. Also monthly, they're also hurting here. You got the Japanese, oh no, this is the VIX in Japan, sorry. You got the Nikkei here, it's down 10%, 4.86 this month. You got the Bangladeshi, the Kazakhstani has gained, but it's all still down, even though they gained a little bit this month. You got, what is this one? Oh, Tehran Stock Exchange. So that is, my goodness. Tehran is Iran, of course. Stock Exchange. These have lost. Still, Malaysian Stock Exchange lost. Kazakhstanian. And then slight gainers. Sensex in India. Got the Saudi Arabian barely, but has lost because of oil just this month. So it's too near gain. You got the Singaporean Stock Exchange have gained. Israeli Stock Exchange, Kuwaiti, Sri Lankan, but here again, they're nowhere near the inflationary loss. Qatar, Bahrain, good winners. You got, what is this one here? Omanian stock. Yeah, so these are all a lot of oil. Laos. Is it Laos? I believe this one is up. Indonesian stock exchange is up. You got these are all United Arab Emirates stock exchanges, and then the Lebanese stock exchange is up 30%, but they're losing a lot in whatchamacallit, in inflation there too. So it's not an inflation hedge, to say the least. Now you got New Zealand. All of the Aussie and New Zealand exchanges have lost, as you can see, not as drastically as Europe and the US. You got in Africa, you got the Kenyan and the Ugandan stock exchanges have lost drastically, over 20%. Then you got the Ghanaian 10.98. Egyptian is down 6%, about 6%. Tanzania, Morocco stock exchange is also down. South African stock markets are up, but have lost during the week, as you can say, during the month. You've got the yeah, I forgot which one this is. It's okay. And then we got the other exchanges here, as you can see, Namibia. You got the Botswanian, Tunisian, Nigerian, and Zimbabwean. And again, you see that they haven't gained with the inflationary pressures that are there, unfortunately. So yeah, if you're in stocks in those countries that have super high inflation, you're screwed. In commodity markets, we're looking at oil is up year over year, but dropped quite a bit because of global recession gathering steam. Natural gas as well, but it's still up 55%. Heating oil, like all of these petroleum products, are down. Now coal is up. It's 144 year over year, 5% so far. Gas, natural gas is down, but this is like doesn't quite show you the number. If you go to gas and the Dutch gas here prices, as you can see, they've gone up like insanely just from 2020. If we pull 2020, 97 here, and it's at 189. It was all the way up at 300 something. And this will keep going up and down here as they're hitting more and more the energy crisis in Europe. There's one way to fix that is you could just trade again with Russia and have get a peace treaty going in Ukraine there and get this stupidity over with, which is war. A bunch of morons on both sides, unfortunately, that are not willing to back down. Uranium, slightly up, hasn't moved much. Propane down quite drastically, year over year and also monthly. Methanol is up year over year, monthly, and then down 11% year over year. Ural, and this is just oil from Russia. As you can see, it's down just 5% versus the VTI. This is the Texas intermediate, Western Texas intermediary is 10.46, and then the Brent crude from the Norwegian offshore oil is 8.82. Gold is down year over year 4.68%, but it's actually, that's not bad when you think about it compared to stock exchanges and other commodities. Silver is down 13.65. It's actually up right now. Gold is down 5% monthly, but silver is slightly up. Copper is down quite a bit year over year now because of recession fear. But again, if they're going to go do this whole Green New Deal thing in Europe, that might be a massive driver for copper prices to skyrocket potentially, because we need a lot of copper to be developed to make that Green New Wet Dream utopia totalitarian regime a dream from Klaus and all his minions. And the UN, of course. Steel is down quite drastically year over year. So as you can see, it's slowed down. Iron ore, same thing, not so drastically though. Lithium is up insanely year over year still. And as you can see, I just want to show you quickly. Just put it out there. As you can see, and the price is actually in Chinese yuan, by the way. And as you can see here, it's just drastically like here. It's up 400% or so, almost 500 from 2020s. So if you were in there early, I was just late and got some of the gain in a few stocks that I, purchased. But if you got that gain from that time, yeah, pretty happy right now. I'm pretty sure. Probably some lithium miners that are up. I haven't looked at stocks, but I would assume they're up quite drastically. Platinum, up monthly, down year over year. Titanium is up 54% year over year, stayed stable there. Um, Soybeans, again, as you can see, most of these are up. It's just lumber. Well, here, let's do this so it's easier to short them out. As you can see, you got sunflower, rapeseed, wool, sugar, canola, cocoa, palm oil, rubber, lumber, and oat is only down year over year. But as you can see here, monthly, so here it's interesting. You got cotton, sunflower oil, palm oil, rubber, rapeseed oil, wool, and cheese. They're down monthly. Yeah, let's go to who's the gainers here. So butter is the biggest gainer year over year. It's but it's not hasn't barely moved this month, but it's up 76.8 year over year. Potatoes up almost 50%, hasn't moved really. Month on month, corn 5% up month on month, 30 year over year. Orange juice 6.13, 27.85 year over year. Rice has moved barely and it's up 27.6. Wheat is up 27.13 year over year. Milk is up 19.89. Coffee 1972. Cheese 18.80. All these three are down about 1 to 1.5%. Soybeans are just barely up and up 14.76. Year over year, industrial metals, you got year over year, you got bitumen, yeah. Then cobalt is up, down year over year, up monthly. Lead is down. It's one of the major recession again, prover, like both the aluminum and the tin also big time. Zinc is down quite drastically, 8.89, up 6.77. Nickel is actually up 11.81, and year over year 29.36 because it's an alloy in the Green New Deal. Molybdenum, palladium, rhodium. Here, let's look at this quickly. So you can see urea. So these are fertilizer prices are up quite drastically. They got nickel, palladium, molybdenum, tellurium, polyethylene, crap pulp, cobalt, and polypropylene, soda ash, ammonium. All these are up month over month, and most of them are up year over year as well, except for molybdenum and tellurium, which is down negative 12.43 and 7.69. You've got manganese 7.97, and so on and so on. Yeah, that's a galleon. Galleons, in the good old Asterix movies. That's doing well year over year, but it's lost 10.8 month on month. You got beef prices. So eggs are up quite drastically. Look at this year over year. For egg prices are up 1.64.22. I think this also has to do with that they're killing a whole bunch of chickens because of the so-called bird flu. Gonna murder all the chickens. So month on month, it's actually up very drastically, 44.72%. Like cattle hasn't moved much, but year over year still, lean hogs and cattle is up 18.33 and 12.61. You got eggs. Oh, this is eggs again. Beef hasn't moved at all. It's just slightly down. Feeder cattle down a monthly a month, but up yearly. Salmon down 12.06, up 46.03 yearly. Let's look at a few indexes here. These are, let me just, the one that I really want to look at is the, what the heck? I'm trying to find the right one. Oh, I don't think it's on here. It's the Baltic Dry that I want to look at, but it's not here. This is not the Baltic Dry, is it? That's a commodity benchmark. Okay. Anyways, as you can see, electricity prices though. France, Germany, insanely up. Italy, up a lot. United Kingdom, up a bit. Spain is actually down because you know, they don't use as much energy, so they need to pay a lot for anyways. And they do have a lot of solar in Spain, by the way. Okay, so that's for that. Quickly look at bonds. We're not going to go in and look at the detail of bonds because that would be too much. As you can see the yield now, the highest yields are in Brazil right now, 11.86. As you can see, they're all up year over year, so they're all gaining. Like central banks are pushing up interest rates. These are the 10 years, by the way. When a country, as you can see, the United States, Canada, also Canada is going to raise now probably, and then get above again here. And Australia is up here, so this is going to put severe pressure on a lot of mortgage markets. New Zealand has a huge property bubble. Australia, a small one. United States, a bit of a property bubble. United Kingdom too. Canada is one of the biggest. Um, so there's a lot of pressure that's going to be with raising interest rates. As you can see here in Japan, you barely, and they didn't, as I mentioned in the early times here, they didn't lower it. They didn't move it at all. It's still at negative 0.1. In Europe, Turkey and Russia is the highest. The 10-year there. Turkey is coming down a little bit, but it's nowhere near their inflation levels. Yeah, as you can see here, still, quite lower in most of Europe. You got the yields over here in Americas. You got Colombia, Brazil high. Venezuela is only 10, which is ridiculous. Then you got in Asia, so it's still pretty low. Like it's still fairly low. Like this is not super high numbers. People will be like, "Oh, 4% is so high." It's not historically, no. And so basically everywhere they're moving up except for a few countries like Zambia. Russia is putting them down. I think China's also lowered their interest rates. We're gonna go to crypto and then we're gonna go into our articles and have some fun. Yeah, as you can see, it's been abysmal year over year and also monthly here. Let's take a look here. And as you can see, it's not doing too well. Avalanche is the worst. Ether got hit because, you go from proof of work to proof of stake. You just centralize power. And I guess, we want to be faster and all this stuff. But again, probably not a good move for the community that want to use it as a hedge of some sorts. Bitcoin is down 58, is down so far this month 12.76. Monero is actually not that bad. It stayed pretty stable at 11.6. Bitcoin Cash even nicer monthly, lesser loss. Litecoin as well, but they have lost quite a bit though. If we go and look at year over year, Terra Luna's dropped, but seems like is it trading again? It says 0% market cap. It would be interesting to see if that actually trades even at all. But as you can see here, the biggest losers are the non-cryptocurrencies. Then Bitcoin Cash lost 80% of its value. Litecoin 68.31. ETH 59.79. Let's say Bitcoin here. So actually, Monero has been one of the better places to be, by the way, of the major cryptos, which is a privately based cryptocurrency that I actually like because it doesn't share the whole blockchain like Bitcoin does. Okay, well, let's go into some articles here and see what's happening in this insane world that we live in. Here we go. The UN Assembly, General Assembly is the 77th UN Assembly is going on right now in New York. And what does Gutierrez say? He's saying a world is in peril. UN chief says in opening General Assembly address. So he's afraid because the world is not going in the direction right now. Oh, he's one world government, and so he's just crying and whining that he can't, get to where he wants to be with a one world government. And I guess Biden is supposed to Biden to urge allied nations for more Ukraine support. Yeah, so yeah, it's just double down on Ukraine. Uh, and talking about Ukraine, actually, it was Zelenskyy just recently. I saw a Norwegian news article where he said the Russians will drown in Ukrainian blood. I bet it's not Zelensky's blood, but anyways, what do I know about those morons? They're fighting Russia and Ukraine. Then German gas giant Uniper says the worst is still to come after Russia halts flows to Europe because we're not in winter yet, and winter hasn't hit in, hasn't really snowed, hasn't been cold in Europe. When that cold comes, it might become very nasty to live in Europe, most of Europe, both northern and mid, probably even southern parts of Europe. Russia is looking, so this is part of the whole Russian thing, is looking to replace LBMA as Putin prepares for West financial system to collapse. So a lot of people say that Putin has put himself in a place where he knows that they're weak in the Western countries, and so he's hoarded a lot of gold and he's ready for a financial reset and be on the power side of that potentially. Now, I don't think the West will want to give that up easily, and they want still to have a fiat system, but we'll see. It'll be very interesting to see what is gonna take place there. Then NATO, NATO is this is from the let's see 17th, and NATO promises to give Ukrainian give Ukraine backing for as long as it takes. So I guess they're gonna win. And actually, just had it looks like Putin is doing his referendum in the oblasts of I forgot all the oblasts, but you got Donetsk, Luhansk, and Zaporizhia. I forgot the last one, but anyways, they tried to have a referendum there on joining Russia, and if that happens, then those are considered by Russia Russian soil, and then if you attack Russian soil, then you have a potentially movement. They're talking about 200 to 300,000 troops coming in there, and so it'll be very interesting to see those moves, of course. Now, to financial matters in this world, and this is in the United States, some companies are closing their doors, others are shutting down divisions. Rocket CEO outlines plans to navigate the dramatic decline in mortgages. So of course now we get we're hitting high interest rates, not high historically, but high over the last 20 years basically. And so they're panicking now, a lot of mortgage brokers, and we probably see a lot of them go bust again. And the Fed actually just stopped buying mortgage-backed securities as 3 or 4 days ago. I haven't seen them buy anything yet, and so I think that's it for quantitative easing has officially ended in the United States, which is quite interesting. A lot of things happening in the United States mortgage market, but it's all not only the United States, it's Hong Kong. Here we got recent Hong Kong home buyers stand to lose millions as prices decline. Some already have, and that's of course with higher interest rates. Home Robo Flipper open door in danger zone after losing money on 42% of all transactions. So again, like Robo Flipper. So basically, you just flip, yeah, with using AI and all this stuff. A lot of fun, doing that. Investment grade corporate bonds are struggling now. Last I saw, I actually pulled the data. Let's pull up the data here quickly on my website. No, on my infogram site here, and look at some infographics. Let's move it over to this one, but he's chief economist and financial Crystal Fleisinger here on LinkedIn is talking about issues with a lot of triple B mortgages and his warning about synthetic versions of the debt and so on, which is derivatives that could blow up, like collateralized loan obligations and commercial real estate collateralized loan obligations, which is corporate debt basically that they have in these packages. As you can see here, I show you here the different asset like derivatives that has, and as you can see, it's on the upward again now with the increase of derivatives. The biggest one is other here. I don't actually know what others is, to be honest with you, but this is data from SIFMA in the United States that look at these details. Here we got the CLO market, as you can see, has exploded. Meanwhile, the 2008 crisis here with credit default, collateralized debt obligations, CDOs, was nowhere, nothing here. As you can see, before the blow up, $145 billion in notional derivatives. Then here you got CLOs now being at 635, and that's versus what was it down 145. So it's huge increase in collateralized loan obligations. So it'd be very interesting, and of course this is what he's mentioning here. So as you can see, this is 2020. So you see like the BBB rated here. Oops. I messed that one up. This is just my where I actually make it. I should pull up the website. Let's just pull up the website so it's better for the public here. Yeah, here it is. So as you can see here, you can see the BBB rated here, and as you can see, this is current. So you see like it's non-financial and financial. Shows the total of BBB rated is now 40%. It used to be 36.7 in 2020. So it's increased quite a bit. And as you can see, there's less and less good credit out there. And then more and more worse credit. As you can see, the worst credit has increased as well. It's actually decreased a little bit. B rated. So some of this actually moved slightly up. So but also they lost a little bit here at top. So yeah, it's interesting. So that corporate debt is in trouble. And of course, in the United States, almost 25% of all corporations in the United States are zombies. They can't even pay their debt. They only pay their interest. Just around, and then they actually get debt to pay that even. And then they say cruel winter ahead for Wall Street as pandemic debts come due. Oh, does debt come due? You gotta be kidding me. I thought that debt was infinite and that nobody would go bankrupt. They told me, that nobody would go bankrupt. And of course they won't, because a bankruptcy is a little bit different. You just default on your debt instead of like in what they're talking about. They're just going to print into hyperinflation and then they're bankrupt. No, wait, it's called hyperinflation and the currency is worthless instead. All going into a deflationary default. So talking about recession looms, we're in a technical recession, guys. So they tried to rewrite that. I think I covered that in the last video that I did, but it's just insane. Like the credit cycle is unwinding as interest rates. And of course, this is one of the first times in history that we're actually raising interest rates into a recession, just making it 100 times worse. So it'll be fun to watch. Now we're gonna watch here. This is executive chairman at FedEx. So let's have a look what he has to say about free money and how it works out in Europe and what his thoughts are on this.
The problem is, as Europe has shown, when you make work optional, your economy stagnates.
Yeah.
So there's a great book that came out, I think, just yesterday by Senator Phil Gramm, whom you and I both know. He's a brilliant economist, along with two other economists, and it's called The Myth of American Inequality.
Yes.
And what he shows is if you subtract the taxes paid by the top earners and you add back in the transfer payments to the lowest quintile, the disparity is not nearly what people think it is. But today, because the recipients of transfer payments aren't tied to any sort of work requirement, you can have a situation where in Massachusetts, a married couple with 2 children can receive $100,000 of benefits.
Right.
So the lowest quintile, the lowest 20%
So again,
of income.
what he's talking about is just free money. When you give people free money, they don't want to work. And we saw that through COVID. Moratoriums on debts. They didn't have to pay their debts, and then they received in the United States a lot of helicopter drops of money. In Canada was CERB, which was basically giving people X amount of, I think it was like $1,500, $2,000 or something a month that people got. And of course, the current labor force participation rate versus what the Fed is looking at, the employment rate, is completely divergent from each other, and you're still losing people in employment. And then, of course, the numbers are very different in unemployment. And as you can see, $1.3 million of jobs were a result of double counting this year. Heritage Economist says, so basically double counting, meaning that this is their second job. So they're counting them twice, which is hilarious. And then, of course, labor force participation rate, that's the labor force, like up to 65, I believe, from 18. That is actually collapsing. And so less people are in the workforce. Meanwhile, they're saying that, oh, we got more employment. But 1.3 of it is people that are getting a second job, maybe even a third job. Who knows, right? You got this article here, which is veteran billionaire U.S. investor says gains to be made in share markets. There'll be no gains to be made over the next 10 years. And that's Stanley Druckenmiller saying this. He is warning that due to the interest rates and the Russia-Ukrainian war and the reversement of globalization, there's going to be a decade of contraction. And could we be entering into a depression potentially? We could, depending on if the central banks panic, the depression could be short-lived, and we could just rapidly enter into complete failure of the currency right after that. So we'll see what come. I think there's going to be a depressionary period, and then quite fast, like maybe a year or so, the central banks are going to panic into with helicopter, probably bombers. They're going to bring in or nukes, maybe monetary nukes even. That's going to try to save the economy, and then they create like a insane hyperinflation potentially, because people are going to see that their currencies are going to lose so much value that they're just going to try to spend as fast as possible, and that's what creates the hyperinflation. 6 months to a year, that whole thing is over, and it happens really fast. That's why 6 months to a year, and it's all over. After like 40 to 100 years of currency, suddenly it's gone. Norway, you've seen massive price shocks. Right now, 30 to 61% in inflation in food in Norway. And so I looked at this, very interesting. And that, my mom says like it's around 70% that she paid more. And she's pretty spot on, my mom. I got to give her a closet economist, a good old cleaning lady in Norway knows more than economists in Norway. And they finally, like she was saying this like 3 or 4, no, probably 5 or 6 months ago, even probably more, almost a year, I believe. But then suddenly, yeah, you see the numbers come out into reality. Meanwhile, inflation in Norway is like 4.56%, which is hilarious. China could potentially reveal a massive gold holding because China hasn't exported any gold. They have gold that they make inside their own country. They've been buying gold ever both through their sovereign wealth funds and other intermediaries that they use, not just showing that the Chinese government is doing it. Of course, they had campaigns to have their citizens even buy gold. So both China and Russia seems to be aligning themselves more and more on being at the top side of a potential global reset in the monetary system. Citadel-backed crypto exchange targets November, soft launch date January for official. Oh, the banksters that hate crypto are now coming in and creating their own exchanges. And as you can see, this exchange is called EDX Markets, so stay clear of that. It's backed by Charles Schwab, Fidelity, Digital Assets, Paradigm, Sequoia Capital, Citadel Securities. I believe Citadel, that's where Ben Bernanke, scumbag, is the reason why we have quantitative easing on the scale that we do right now, and Virtual Financial. So they're trying to launch their own crypto platform. Here is an interesting. We're gonna watch this quickly. This is what's going on in Lebanon right now, and as you can see, this is what happens when you got a bank holiday and people have lost all their money, can't get it out of their bank, all their life savings, and people get really mad. So this guy is actually stealing. He stole his own deposits in the bank, and he is pissed. It looks like there's more of them that have tried to steal their money from the bank. But I think these are actually bank depositor holders, and they're actually stealing their own. Excuse me for my hounds here. And my wife is gone, so they believe that my wife is coming home. But don't tell them it's 13 days until she comes home. She's going on a lovely cruise, enjoying herself. She has served that every single second, that lovely lady. Now, as you can see here, these are actually depositors, as far as I know, there's bank holidays, they can't get their cash out of their bank, so they go and rob the bank to get their own money. So the bank robbers are really the banks themselves that stole the money, but they didn't tell them that when you put your money into a bank, you don't own it anymore. You lend it to the bank, and then they can do whatever they want with it. And they lost it in Lebanon. They got lots of bank holidays. People can't get their deposits there right now. Um, Interesting news from the U.S. Navy quietly canceled vaccine requirements for the Navy SEALs. Here from Canada, actually talking about vaccines requirements, apparently after Pierre Poilievre got in as leader of the Conservative Party in Canada now, suddenly Trudeau is going to cancel the quarantine thing that he's had on, and that is, not allowed me to wanting to travel because he has a stupid 14-day quarantine when you come back into Canada, and you have to have the government app on your phone called ArriveCan. And so he's gonna suddenly scrap that and make the arrive can optional. Which, like, who wants a freaking government, app on your phone that's gonna track and trace everything about you? Now, of course, they did that with TELUS. I know that they used positional data from TELUS to then track people's behaviors and so on during the lockdowns. Who knows? Was it Rogers too, or what's the other ones now? Bell, the Bell dude as well. Who knows what the stupid health authorities there did? But apparently they're supposed to do that now. Other news from Canada, though, is that global news is on the brink amid declining revenues. Well, it's because people are starting to see through how moronic. Well, they actually did already, and so they got bailed out $600 million in both government money and grants and tax rebates and so on, and they got bailed out, these news stations, and now Global is struggling. Oh no, poor. Yeah, so as you can see here, the assessment came despite millions of federal subsidies and 38% profit margin in TV last year. So they lost a lot of money, even though that they, you know, were used as a propaganda arm of the state to push the agenda of the World Economic Forum and the United Nations and so on, of the lockdowns here in Canada and the vaccine mandates. And now, of course, they're losing big time because they suck, and they don't tell the truth, and people start to see that. In the United States, it's starting to really ramp up. And I don't have the article here, but of course, Biden just recently said that, yeah, the pandemic is over. And then the White House says, no, no, it's still a problem. He didn't mean that. It's like, oh, yeah, I guess good old Bitey boy is forgetting what he's saying all the time now. So the White House is just basically telling him that everything that he says is not true. Which is hilarious. He's supposed to be like the head of the state in the United States. It's quite funny to watch and amusing because clearly comes to play that it's just a puppet. And this is horrible, actually. This article here, it shows you what these divide and conquer strategies by the governments are doing. Driver admitted, oh, excuse me, to intentionally killing teen at North Dakota street dance after a political dispute. 40 court paper says that 41-year-old Shannon Brandt confesses to a 911 dispatcher and police that he killed 18-year-old Keller Ellingson due to a political dispute. According to court papers, it was not an accident, but apparently politically motivated attack. Blah blah blah. This is in Fargo. Shannon was chasing him in the city where, yeah, this is like what, is going to be the start of like literal, um, doesn't matter which side any of these morons were at, but they literally, like this young kid, like he's a 40-year-old, 41-year-old man with talking to a brainwashed kid from, and I don't know which way it was, who's on the left or right side here, but you murder somebody because you disagree with them. That's totally despicable and a bunch of idiots, for doing that. Like, but I guess that's what they want. That's where we're coming to, the whole January 6th kerfuffle and a lot of shady things that happen around there too. And then, of course, it seems like Trump has completely sold out now because he's not willing to back down on his vaccine mandate, as per Alex Jones just recently said that, Trump said that no, he's going to go full steam ahead. He's very proud of his Operation Warp Speed that have murdered tens of thousands of people in the United States. And of course, around the world, there's lots more that have, because the propaganda being put out by these pharmaceutical companies. Um, this one is totally insane. It's from Singapore, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But so, oh no, Thailand. Thai Red Cross urges people not to sell their kidneys to buy the new iPhone 14. It's like, yay! I'm gonna cut up my kidney to get an iPhone 14. Like I'm gonna take my kidney out of my body, and I'm just gonna have one left. So if I get kidney problems, I might die because there probably is not as good of a supply of kidneys down there. And yeah, I got an iPhone 14, so it's all great. It's a surveillance phone that's going to surveil me for the rest of my life. But yeah, no, uh, well, apparently taken seriously enough that Thai. Yeah, so this seems to be a uh, a thing. Like they're saying that it's a joke, but I don't know. Is it real? Is it not? You know, I I guess people will get to that level. I don't think that's going to be a huge like people are going to go to that level when you own nothing and you want to be happy. Just give a kidney to be happy, and then you're good. Just give all your organs. Just give all your organs and then upload yourself into virtual reality, and then you're good. You'll be happy for the rest of your life. You'll be physically dead, but it's okay. Again, before I end here, I want to share with you, the website that's important to expose a lot of the leaders that are working in, especially in Canada and other countries, in leadership positions to push the agenda of the UN with sustainable development, the ESG goals, and all this stuff. And they're 100% committed to make that happen. So if we don't fight back and if we don't find out who these people are, you could go here to younggloballeaders.club. You could search the list, and then you could find out exactly who they are. You could search for dates. You could search for nationality, current position, the sector that they're in, organizations, and then you could also search for keywords in their bios here in these five places here, and then of course their names. So yeah, please go in there and take a look. And then also I talk about what's called the Global Shapers community, which is a bunch of it's 10,500. So the Young Global Leaders is 30 to 40, and there are about 3,600 of them. And alumni, and then the Global Shapers is now 10,500, and they're in almost, I think, 450 plus cities around the world, and it's young kids from 20 to 30. So they start even younger with them, manipulate them, and then tell them that we're all going to die, if we don't fight climate change. Which it's pretty funny. There's people that just recently come out. I saw a RT clip, Russia Today clip, where they had invited a guy to talk about climate change in Russia, and then suddenly he's like, "Yeah, CO2 has nothing to do with climate change. It's the sun and moon, you idiot." And he's just panicking the anchor, and he was like, "Yeah, there's just no way. Like, what are you talking about? CO2 has nothing to do with it." And of course, that's the whole freaking thing right now with coming after the farmers, coming after and having carbon taxes and so on. That's their whole scheme is based upon a utterly made up scam. You know, probably came out of the UN, most likely, the whole scam. Well, actually, it was Gro and Brundtland that started it with the Norway getting the first carbon tax in 1992. So yeah, the whole scam is based upon just fake news, and so you need to spread the word and expose these guys. And you can search up on them if they're local, in a community and so on. Search up names that you're looking for, and it's just because they have a website at the World Economic Forum does not mean that they collaborate with the World Economic Forum. They might have attended an event, looked at or some might have written an article or something. So it doesn't mean that all of them are aligned with the World Economic Forum. So you just don't go on the website. You got to look at the list of these people that have been in a 5-year program, the Young Global Leaders program, that they get educated, and they have they partner with Harvard Business School and other universities around the world to teach curriculums. And a lot of people there's people now that have come out and said that it's actually Kissinger's CIA curricula in a CIA course that he was holding that is a part of the Young Global Leader curricula as well. So very interesting things that are happening. So please, go in and search on this website. And then if you have any questions, if you want the list, you could actually, oh, excuse me. If you want the list, you could actually go down here and you could search it. You could actually download it right here at the bottom under the search the list here. And then you go all the way to the bottom. You can find the current list of 3,600 plus people. So yeah, stay tuned, guys. Let me just get out of here so you could see me. No, we're not doing this. Stop to share. Yeah. Anyways, a lot of things happening in the world, and I think we are gonna see a very long outro war in Ukraine between Russia and Ukraine. That could have massive spillover effects in the coming, 6 months. So be prepared for a lot. There's going to be a lot of insanity going on right now, and stay safe, guys. I'm working on potentially building my plan is to build a big greenhouse that I'm adding because I don't believe in the global warming scam. I'm more worried about actually global cooling in, so I want to have my growing season being protected, or if it doesn't warm as much, at least I would have the opportunity to grow a longer over a longer time frame, and then grow some uh, better greens and so on that I can't really grow with the short growing season. It gets super hot, but not enough to really grow some of the crops that I want. So I'm working on that, and I also are looking at probably adding by midwinter or something a fireplace to our house as backup heat. Not so much because here in Canada actually we're plentiful with hydro right now. Hydro is pretty hot, but it's for the minus 30 days. If we get a gigantic snowstorm, that could turn into a bad one and topple a bunch of phone lines or trees on them. And then you get, oh, excuse me, I'm getting a little tired there, but you get chaos and then you get outages and so on. And so it's good to have that backup. And I also have cooking backup and so on. But you need to keep the house warm if it goes like hot, or else you need to drain your water pretty quickly before it gets too cold. That will take a day or so in my house, but in minus 30, it'll go fast after that. If you get over minus and you have water lines, they get frozen, so you're screwed. Like, look at what happened in Texas during the storm there, that they weren't prepared for all because they don't have mandatory to make any insulation in their new homes. So they weren't prepared for actually a colder climate. They were like looking at, the sustainable development garbage that's going on. So that's what I'm doing personally to prepare myself. And of course, I'm still buying gold and silver, physical metals, and I'm also adding right now to my. I have some Petrobras holdings that are paying serious dividends. Now, this is never financial advice. This is my opinion. But again, that's personally what I'm doing right now. I added a bit to Petrobras again, and I'm probably going to add on a little bit of gold miners, and because they're at record lows right now. And suddenly you see that DXY go up to 120, but then where's that DXY going to go? Where's all the cash going to go? US dollars. I don't think it's going to go to bonds. I think it's going to go for security and safety, which is gold and silver, but it could also trickle over into cryptos, like maybe some private cryptos, depending on if we get the CBDCs with the Fed Now system coming into line in 2030, of course, no, in 2023, mid 2023, the Fed Now payment system that is like a pre-CBDC type of thing that they're going to try to push forward into the United States. So yeah, stay tuned, guys, and I'm just trying to protect myself, and everybody else should as well. Try to get out of the cities. That's the number one thing I would say, and then try to live a little bit more sustainable life. It's going to be some hardship coming, the next 5 to 10 years, but hopefully that there's going to be a proper reset without these scumbags resetting into a central bank digital currency. Teach people that you need to stay out of that system and don't try to use it when it comes as an enticement from you losing all your money if you weren't protected in the first place. And so you want to move over to the system to get all your money back into this digital central bank digital currency. You be a complete slave. They could track and trace everything you do. They want to, gather as much taxes from you as possible, and of course, they want to track and trace every movement that you do, so they could give you a little bit of money here and there. And as they continue that path to print more money, you will basically own nothing, but you won't be happy. You'll be really pissed off. So yeah, let's stay safe, guys. And yeah, that's the end of Economic Truth Report 16. We'll see you soon, guys. Have a good one.